Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Sparkster. In the last one we started off the game, and now we're in stage 4. I believe this is the attack sub? And this is the only normal stage in the game from my memory that doesn't have a mini-boss. So you don't have to worry about that here. However, you have to worry about everything else, because this stage is dangerous. You want to take your time right here, because we got a bit of a Mega Man 04 Heat Genblum laser section here. The best way to get rid of the laser at the end, though, because you need to destroy it, is just to charge up your rocket pack and then hold downwards to get that little spin attack, because that does a lot of damage very quickly, and thus you can get it out of your way just that quickly. Thankfully, the laser isn't the hardest to dodge, given that it is fairly telegraphed and you have plenty of time to get out of the way once it starts charging up. I think it only counts when the laser starts expanding as a hitbox. And you don't even need to duck when you're in the little corridor, not even little corridors, little trenches in order to not get it. You just have to stand there. And they're even pretty generous here because they give you a full health recovery. At least I think bananas are full health recovery immediately afterwards. If bananas aren't full health recoveries, they're probably at least half health recoveries, and that's good enough for me. The biggest challenge about this stage is that they love to spam a lot of enemies really quickly, and I still do not know if there's even remotely a way to get through this section without getting hit. I'm also not entirely certain what causes the sailors to wake up, because it seems inconsistent as to when they do. The water here doesn't hurt you outright, but if you get spouted up into one of the spikes, it does. And spikes in this game aren't instant kill, except for I think in maybe one case, if even. The biggest thing about them is that they still hurt. Also, I'm missing something here, and I even realized that and go, wait a minute. If you come over to this right here and dash up there, you can find yourself a nifty little secret with, I think maybe 30 to 50 crystals, and you know what? That's good enough for me. We also have a really random gimmick, because I think this is one of the few, like, vertical pulls in the game. You swing along it, but it doesn't cause much of a problem, and for some reason the floor here is also bouncy, which never gets brought back in the game ever, so what's with that? It's like the only bouncy floor I can think of in the entire game. You want to be careful here, though, and just hold right and dash to whatever direction you're heading as much as possible, because what's going on here, you may have even heard it just then, there is a rush of water behind you, and if it catches up to you, it's not instant death, but if it brings you into the spikes, it is. And if you don't get to the door before, it closes, because doors close, like little airlocks, basically, along that entire section. If a door closes before you get through it, it's an instant kill. So you need to be quick and on your toes there. Also, I'm having a lot of trouble getting into this little section here, where there's this one-of-a-kind fish that gives you a couple of crystals and health recovery items. I don't get it. Why is that there? It's strange. Once we're here, though, we want to not forget to press the left roll and just rocket along the surface. Don't even really need to worry about any enemies here, because either you'll rocket through them or past them. And at that point, we're already at the boss fight for stage 4. This, I think, is the Wolfheim tank? First phase here, we just want to rocket diagonally upwards into the cannons. Need to destroy all 3 of these. The first 2 can go down pretty quickly to this strategy, because you can hit them no problem. The third one I found is a bit more iffy to hit. I think you just need to either jump onto the cannon itself or just decide to take a few hits. At that point, though, we're flunked to the other side, where we find it's this dude again. And he has 2 more cannons. One more we can destroy outright, and a giant laser cannon, which is surprisingly hard to dodge unless you're right next to it. At this point, once you destroy the little mini cannon, you just need to wait around a bit, because eventually it'll bring its spike balls down and reveal its final form, this robot. At this point, I don't think he ever fires the cannon again. He just jumps around and flings around his spike arms, which cause explosions upon impact. Surprisingly easy to get hit by, but surprisingly not as damaging as you would think it would be. Just dash into it a couple times at this point, and you should take it down, no problem. I'd say overall, this is the last easy end-of-stage boss in the game. Everything else from here on either has some trickiness going on, is really fast, or... No, actually, that's about it. Either it's a tricky boss otherwise, or it's really fast and thus hard to hit. Mini bosses are going to be about that difficulty from here on now, though. And time for stage 5, which is suddenly Egypt. I'm not going to pretend that the original Rocket Knight Adventures had random stage gimmicks thrown in, like the random lava stage, the random minecart stage. But Egypt? What? I guess not Egypt, because this isn't technically Earth, but you get what I mean. Random pyramid stage. And the first section isn't even that notable. It's when you get inside the pyramid where things start to shift up. You've got some balls that follow you all over the place trying to crush you, and little doors that if you run past them, shift the stage design along that little core there. And that can get you to a few little key areas, like this place that has some health for you. A little weird room that I was in for a moment there that reverses all of your control for some reason, even which one I think is attack and jump. What we really want to look for is the one that faces straight downwards, because that's what gets you to the mini-boss for this stage. This is just a random octopus robot, and it's potentially the easiest mini-boss in the game, because its only attack is to use its arms, at least in this stage. And it's a very easy pattern of just jumping and rocketing into it to kill it. It does start flying at this point, though, but again, its only attack is to flail its arms around, and as long as you stay beneath it, it doesn't stand much of a chance of hitting you. Kind of a pathetic mini-boss. The rest of the stage is weird, though, because we have this pyramid of spikes here. We need to take care of the little, I guess, wires holding it up, which causes these platforms to hit the pyramid and go up alongside it, and I have never gone right, so I don't know what's to the right. Heading up here, though, we have this pain in the ass section. What's going on here is that we need to roll this ball to the right. The way you do that is by getting on it and then holding the opposite direction. However, these spikes, I swear, are in such a way that you'll almost always get hit by one of them, even if you are taking your time. And the moment you hit the wall, you start running in that direction anyway, so you're probably going to fall off into the spikes. It's dumb, it's very easy to get hit, and it's the one platforming section in this game that feels like it wasn't done right. Now you want to be careful here, because this triangle hits with the walls, but when it hits this and it starts shrinking, you need to quickly rocket to the right. Otherwise, you're going to get crushed into those spikes, and I think that pair of spikes there is instant kill. With that, though, we're already at the boss for this stage. Stage 5, which is the Ancient Ruins here, isn't that long. However, the Fireworm here is probably the fastest boss in the game, because it has sections you can destroy, which I think make it shorter, maybe even reduce its health, but I've never really cared about attacking the body. Your target should be rocketing into the head. This boss just loves to fly all around the place, trying to fly into you, and its main attack otherwise is Fire Breath. It can burrow into the ground every now and then, where it'll pop out somewhere generally random, but I think it tries to target you. And at that point, that's, I think, all it does. I don't think any of the bosses in this game have any hard mode or above difficulty explosive attacks to worry about. The one thing I do like about this game is the password system. You get those upon a game over, yeah. However, every stage across every difficulty has a password unique to it. And the way the password system works is that you're gaining control of Sparkster in this little forest area. And there are 3 rows of boxes that you attack. The boxes have 4 options to them. Empty, an apple, a banana, or a crystal. And whenever you get the password you want, which, say, the first row is banana, apple, nothing, apple, and the other 3 rows are the exact same thing, if that matches up with a stage, you walk right and you're teleported to that stage on that difficulty. And now we're in stage 6, Noisy Toys, and I think that may have been the mini-boss already, now that I think about it. That is, I think, that Wolfenheim's last appearance in the game, and he just likes to mash wherever it wants to on that piano. A few head charges take it down pretty quickly, though, as you saw. This is potentially the most annoying stage in the game, at least out of the standard stages. Just because there's a lot of platforming gimmicks here that love to swap you all over the place, throw you all over the place. And there's a particular 2 hallways that are really annoying to get through without getting hit, that we'll see in a few moments. One of them, I believe, can be avoided, though, by taking the upper path here. I took the lower path because I think it's overall shorter, but it's a harder pathway. Rocket dash along here, and then just do a standard attack to get rid of anything that's directly in front of you before you do the next charge. But what the annoying thing with this section is these spike-filled sections. When you enter one of these bubbles, you get sucked into it. And any movement slowly sends you upwards, but it also carries your momentum so you can slide to the side. Touching another bubble I don't think does anything, but touching a wall or an enemy bubble or a spike damages you and you get flung out of the bubble. Well, if you touch a wall on its own, it doesn't damage you, obviously, but you get flung out of the bubble, and at that point, you're probably going to get flung into a spike anyway. The bubbles are probably the worst thing about the game because controlling them just feels so stiff and awkward. That's probably the point, I get it, but it doesn't feel the right kind of stiff and awkward, if that makes sense. You can completely avoid that particular section if you take the upper path from my memory, but it's bad. You can rocket past a good bit of those sections if you're careful, but you're gonna at least enter one bubble no matter what. Gotta say though, I love this song. This song's nice and funky. In a weird way, it kind of reminds me of Tamba, or Tombi for those I think in the PAL region, but I can't exactly place why. Yeah, like, look at that. That momentum just looks awkward to control, and trust me, it is. Thankfully, you can mash the button to get out of the bubble, but make sure you're not below a spike when you do that, because you're gonna just jump right up out of the bubble. And I do mean up out of the bubble and right into a spike. And with that, we're already at the boss for this stage, and this is probably my favorite boss fight in the game, because, hey, there's Princess Flora and Axel Gear. Axel Gear as a boss is just a mirror of you. He charges all over the place, uses his projectile-based sword attack. The only thing he has that you don't is the ability to fly constantly, which he'll generally try to fly to where you are and then attack you. He has a bit of a rider kick going on as well. But he also has a unique charge that I think you cannot damage him during, which he encircles himself in his little jet fire. This fight is really fun, and I really like it, even though it is admittedly one of the simplest boss fights in the game. Just dash into him whenever you see him, and you should take him out in pretty quick suit, though. And he kidnapped her again. Great. And that's stage 6. Some of the most annoying platforming in the game without a doubt, but it's probably the last stage with really annoying platforming. Now, here's a question. Have you guys ever played a Kirby game and just wondered, wow, that's a sudden genre shift with this near the endgame stage? Well, hey, look! Sparkster's doing the same thing. A random genre shift towards the end of the game. Because all of a sudden, we're in an old Capcom 1942 styled shoot 'em up from the top-down perspective. Love the music for this stage, though. Sparkster now has full 8-directional control, and he has 2 attacks. The center attack button still does the sword slash, which the sword itself can damage, as can a little shockwave you shoot out. But holding down the A button gives you these 2 diagonal lasers that, while weak, can pile on the damage pretty quickly. This is a really fun stage, I admit, but it's ruined by the boss fight that I'll talk about when we get to it. Enemies, it has a bunch of cannons on the ships that we're going to be seeing. Some that shoot just lasers, some that shoot giant electrical beams, some that shoot just standard pellets at you. The biggest annoyance is probably not even the missiles that get piled at you. The red robots that come with little green, not Zaku's, which, by the way, they're totally not Zaku's. The big annoying thing about them is that they'll try to home in on you more accurately than anything else here. Notably, though, if you're playing the game on easy mode, this is the last stage in the game. This is one of those games on the Super Nintendo that changes what the final stage is depending on your difficulty. If you're playing easy mode, this is the final stage. If you're playing normal mode, the next stage is the last stage. And if you're playing hard or above, you get access to the true last stage. There are 2 difficulties above hard mode, which are very hard and crazy hard. And, yeah, they're a thing. The damage output's kind of ridiculous. The thing is, though, off the top of my head, I forget how to unlock very hard mode. I think you just beat hard mode to get that. But crazy hard mode, you need to input a cheat code to get. You go to the option screen, highlight the difficulty select. Then press left, left, right, right, down, up, AX. I think in the options menu you also get a sound test, but only in the Japanese version by selecting the sound option, then hitting select. While I don't remember how you unlock very hard mode, I know there's a password you can do for very hard level 1 onwards, and that is on the password screen, banana, 3 crystals on the top row, An apple, nothing, a banana, and an apple in the middle row. And on the bottom row, it's nothing, a crystal, and then 2 apples. So B, C, 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 A, N, B, A, and C, double A. That's a sports thing, isn't it? Randomly in the middle of this stage, though, we get a strange mini-boss, which is kind of a prelude to the boss of the stage, now that I think about it. But we already killed it pretty quickly there, and that was, I think, the floating guard. The only thing about that is that when it hugs itself and then unleashes, it shoots out a bit of quite a few projectiles at you at once, and that can be kind of hard to track and dodge at the same time. Now, as much as I like this stage, just because I like shoot 'em ups in the long run, even though I don't play too many of them comparatively, the thing I don't like about this stage is I think it has one of the worst boss fights, not only in the game, but on the Super Nintendo out of good games on the Super Nintendo. I'll talk more about that in a moment, though, because we have this one last strange section where this, I guess, cockpit shoots out, or like a third stage rocket, and it has propellers on it for some reason. I figured by this point we're already out of the atmosphere, so why have those? Now, the boss of this stage is sort of revisiting a concept from the original Rocket Knight Adventures, because Axel Gear flies out, he's like, yo, sup, I'm going over here, and he's gonna grab a giant robot. Sparkster, for some reason, also is going to grab a giant robot, and now we're in a game of Rock'em Sock'em robots. The annoying thing about this is it controls well, I should note. Using the L and R shoulder buttons are how you attack with that respective punch. Pressing the B button gives you a little shot that does very minor damage. And by charging up your rocket pack, you get a little boost. Holding L and R at the same time activates a guard. However, if the enemy attacks while you're guarding, or you attack Axel Gear while he's guarding, you do damage to the fists, because the fists have their own health bar, and if you take that all the way down, a fist gets destroyed. You can be left with no fists and therefore basically no defenses. The annoying thing about this fight is, first off, every now and then Axel Gear loves to go in this little punching barrage that I have a hell of a time getting away from if there even is a way to. And if you try to do damage to him through his, taking out his arms when he's blocking, you want to just sort of hover around this area and mash up to the shot button and one of the fists. This fight, I don't even make it look easy, because this fight is hard and it's a bunch of RNG that I have no idea what to do with. It's probably one of the worst bosses I've faced in a good game on the Super Nintendo ever, especially not only in recent memory, just in forever. It's not a very good boss fight. I'd say it's probably the lowest point in the game. It takes forever, it's hard, and it's just really hard to plan out a strategy for Rock'em Sock'em robots. My only hint of a strategy would be to target the arms first, hope he doesn't do too many barrages of fists, in which case probably charge in the other direction. And hopefully take out his fists, because if you can take out one fist, not only does that make the fight easier for you, but if you can take out both, he's defenseless. I don't like this fight. It's not a good fight. It just sucks. This would probably be maybe in top 10 Super Nintendo games for me if this fight wasn't here. Admittedly, it does make for a good final boss on easy mode, but yeah, not a good fight. But with that awful fight out of the way, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we're going to go end off the game. See you guys then.